Hey everyone, I'm rather Incoherent, and on day 4 of the expansion we have some minor changes already. Back when I played, we just never changed the game and everyone was unhappy for months at a time. So even though I don't fully agree with some of these changes, I'm actually really happy to see that they're making iterative changes, and they're doing small changes that make sense, quickly, and if they make the game better then they'll stick, and if they don't then they'll get reverted, and stuff like that is what I really appreciate seeing. Now, looking at the meta right now, the last day in Legend, you can see 3 classes. So each of these classes that's been dominating the game has received 1 nerf to 1 card, and that does sort of feel to me like they had to do exactly 1 nerf for each class, and they didn't quite know how to nerf Death Knight correctly with only nerfing 1 card. Anyway, let's get into the changes. Let's start with the changes that I wholeheartedly agree with. Vengeful Walloper is a star in the Outcast deck. It's coming out at 0 mana very quickly, very often, so the buff it got to 6 mana back when the deck was non-viable has been reverted and it's a 7 mana card again. I agree with that pretty wholeheartedly. It's the sort of minor iterative change that I think is a great way to start trying to balance out the class. Then coming over to Light Ray, it's gotten the exact same nerf. It's not a buff revert in this case, but it's still just 1 more mana on a mana cheat card, and these nerfs will definitely affect their classes. It's very often the case that Paladin's getting Light Ray exactly down to the amount of mana they have, or exactly down to 0 mana, as it is often the case. And because of that, they're getting to play out the Light Rays. So very frequently, Light Rays and Wallopers will be coming down a turn later, and that will be meaningfully slowing down those decks, and specifically the problematic decks for that class. But coming over to Death Knights, their nerf card is the Construct Quarter, and the nerf is that it only has 2 durability now. While I agree that the 3rd durability is entirely unnecessary and this card's just a weirdly strong value tool, this actually kind of rubs me the wrong way because this is a core combo piece for Cagehead decks, which just got printed, and losing the 3rd durability when you have to hold on to a durability on it really hurts that already non-viable archetype. Additionally, Unholy already considers cutting this card. Frost is going to probably win the game or lose the game well before the 3rd charge goes down, and with Blood Death Knights, they don't care about the value from the 3rd charge, they care that they have the first 2 to fight for board when they can still get run out of the game by an aggressive deck. By the time they're using the 3rd charge, they have access to Soul Stealer, they don't need the 3rd charge. So the way I see it is this is a nerf to Contract Quarter, which is a very strong card and it can take a nerf, so it's fine. But realistically, I don't think this will impact the win rate of any Death Knight decks in any meaningful way at all. This comes up so rarely that it doesn't seem like it's even a point. It seems like they were told they need to change 1 card for each class, and the only thing that was remotely sensible to nerf that was available to all of the Death Knights was Contract Quarter. And then in future patches, they'll make better nerfs that actually impact the problems that the class is expressing with Control Blood Knight and Aggro Frost. And when it comes to Control Blood Knight, I'm not sure what the succinct solution to that class is. When it comes to Frost Death Knight, I feel like I'm just in the 8 mana Frostworm's Fury waiting room, but I'm not actually sure how you fix Blood Death Knight. Luckily, I'm not a game designer, I just get to sit here and tell you what I think of the changes. Anyway, as someone who's been grinding out pure Paladin games off camera because I wanted to get into Legend and stop not seeing my opponent's rank for some reason that just really bothers me, I really appreciate these changes. I think all of them are at least well-intentioned, none of them are actively bad in any way, and it's a design philosophy that I vastly prefer to the way Hearthstone used to work. Before I wrap up the video, I do want to briefly talk about how I was climbing off camera. I decided I wanted to get a Legend, and I really like my Amalgam mech deck, so I figured I'd play that, and I matched into 3 Blood Death Knights and 2 Paladins and lost 5 games in a row. And here's what I found out. Amalgam Mechs is a deck that tries to curve out, and then as it curves out, it either tries to stabilize and drag the game out with bigger minions based on its Discover effects, or it tries to use volume up to kill you with Burn. It turns out that against Paladin, pure Paladin, their early curve is so much better than yours that you will never win in that early fight, so you just lose the matchup, because you'll never have enough Burn to kill them from 30, and they'll kill you much faster with their advantage on board. Then against Blood Death Knight, the plan just doesn't work, because Blood Death Knight has ways to kill huge magnetic minions with Asphyxiate and Obliterate. They have ways to clear wide boards with Blood Boil and Corpse Explosion. By the time you're going late and trying to do stuff like getting a stealth 1-man Amalgam with Wind Fury, they have access to Soul Stealers and of course more Corpse Explosions. And finally, the nail in the coffin, your plan of converting from the board plan to the burn plan around turns 4 through 6 when you play volume up and get the finale just doesn't work, because they're going to still be at least at 40 health probably by then, unless you had a tremendously better curve than they did and they just missed their early minions. Amalgam Mechs lines up terribly against 2 of the most common decks in the format right now, and it's just not even worth testing again until they fall off or receive nerfs. It's actually just dead. It's one of the better decks I've played, but it's so bad against the main decks in the format that it's completely unplayable. It's tragic. Coming over to Pure Paladin though, I'm at 76% win rate, 13-4. My only losses are to Death Knights and Paladin Mirrors. 3 Blood Death Knights, I've only lost 1 Paladin Mirror, and that makes sense because I've seen almost exclusively Death Knights. I've seen 5 classes that weren't Death Knight or Paladin, and in fact, it looks like I've only seen 2 other Paladins. The latter is overwhelmingly Blood Death Knight. When you're not seeing them, you're probably seeing a Paladin, and there's like a 50% shot you're seeing something else has been my experience. And this just cripples the diversity of the classes you can play, because it turns out if you can't outcurve a Pure Paladin, find a way to close the game against a Blood Death Knight, then as an aggro deck or a mid-range deck, you're just not able to play in this meta environment. Which is why Amalgam Mechs got crushed so hard, and it's why this mage got steamrolled. Anyways, I'm glad to see changes that are hurting these classes, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. I'm going to stop now, though. I've been rather Incoherent. Hope you're enjoying the meta game. If you're a Pure Paladin or Blood player, I'm sure you are. If you're anyone else, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'll see you in the next one.